Hi everyone, it's Migrants with Migraines, and this is Shuruk. Today I have Team Podcast, I have Diana, I have Edzo, and I have Sergio. We're just missing Albera today, but I'm sure he will be listening to us, so hi Albera. Today we have an episode on parental expectations. You'll know more about what we mean by this once we start. So let's begin. So the first question that I have for you guys is, what are some areas where parents have expectations for us? The first thing that comes to my mind is education. So I want to hear what you guys have to say about this.
I think one of the biggest expectations that parents have, especially immigrant parents, is having a career that you're able to financially sustain yourself with. Because oftentimes, uh, just growing up, I would hear, make sure you go into this career that you can make money in the future. And I think, from my viewpoint, it's a lot of times um, parents are coming from a place of that they grew up with very little. So I think their hopes is that you can have more.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I completely agree. I'm sure like they want the best for us. And they know how much they sacrifice for us to have a better life. So education is very important to them, and obviously career.
Yeah, I believe that sometimes parents put expectations on their children, and they expect their children to live a life that they would have liked to live. So for example, like this isn't my family, but like if my mom wanted to be like a dancer, she would have put that expectation on me by coming to this country and like putting me in dance classes and like, doing this, and the third to make sure that I could get to the position she would have liked to get to. And I know that my family isn't like that right now, but they do put these types of expectations on their children so that they can feel like they've given us the best life that we can have.
Yeah, that's a good point. I was actually thinking like the opposite way. Like if your dad is a doctor, he would want you to be a doctor as well. But I guess it can go both ways. Like it can be, like you said, something that they wish they were, so they expect us to be in that field, or like I mentioned, like they want to pass their career to their children.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in because I definitely agree with you. I was going to say, just in general, I definitely feel like they just wanted me, for example, to live a better life than they were able to. My parents worked most of the time, so I didn't have like a stay-at-home mom or anything. They had multiple jobs. They built their own business 10 years ago, and they're thriving right now, but like they work really hard. They work in a taco truck, so they work at like it's outside, so it could be like hard conditions, but like they obviously wanted me to study, and I'm grateful they paid for my education. um but it just goes along with the idea that they want you to do better than have those opportunities that they weren't able to have. I never really felt that my mom wanted to put me in a like specific career path that she would have wanted for herself. She was very adamant about not doing that to my sister and I, which I'm really grateful for.
Yeah, for sure. So like education is one thing that's like puts pressure on us in some cases, and I feel like even sometimes when parents have expectations for their children to like have an MD next to their name, or like be called a doctor, sometimes that's not what they want to do. Sometimes that suppresses their creativity, because like some kids want to be artists, some kids want to be I don't know, like something else that doesn't have like a big title next to their name. um so I feel like that like puts pressure on the children. So can you guys think of anything else besides education that you feel like parents, immigrants' parents specifically put pressure on their kids about?
Yeah, I just want to jump in and say, I know that immigrant parents like to put a lot of pressure on their children to follow societal norms. So, like, what I mean by that is like when it comes to your sexual identity, they want you to, like, for example, for me, if I'm a girl, so they would expect me to like boys and marry a man and this, and the third. Or like, I know other people in the LGBTQ community, they experience like not feeling like them. How do you say that? Not being cis. That's what I'm trying to say. You know, some kids are, ¿cómo se llama? Like are gender fluid or don't identify with a single gender or don't identify with a gender period, and parents expect them to be like, you were born this way and this is the way you are. And it's just like, that's not how it is for everyone, you know, that's not how it is at all. And they expect you to be like, they put themselves in your shoes and never give you the opportunity to stand on your own 2 feet.
Yeah, for sure. Like the LGBTQ community is like a community that suffers a lot in immigrant households, in that sense that parents expect you to like the opposite gender or like to dress up in a certain way. And if you go against that, that's a really big thing for immigrants, because that's you going against what they think is like the way you should be. So that also puts a lot of pressure on us. One thing I can also think about is dressing up for women, even if you're not dressing up like the opposite sex, like even dressing up as a woman, but like if it's something that your parents are not a fan of, like something a little bit revealing, or like cutting your hair a certain way that's not like, that looks crazy to them, but that's what you want to look like. It's like they don't like it and they make you feel bad about it. So how, when your parents have those expectations for you, do they verbally express it? Like, do they tell you, no, you're not supposed to do this, or like you're supposed to be that way, and like they get like mad at you, or how do they react?
I remember when I told my mom that I didn't want to be a doctor, like a medical doctor, she was like a little bit thrown back because growing up, I was under this impression, okay, the only thing I could do in this life is just be a doctor, because that those were really the expectations that my mom set for me. And it wasn't until I actually said, you know what, I think at the end of the day, this is my life and I need to make a choice for myself and for what I want to do, was when I actually told her straight up. And I said, hey, I'm not going to be a doctor. I'm going to go to graduate school and I'm going to become a scientist because that's what I really want to do. And to my surprise, yeah, she was thrown off, but at the end of the day, I felt that she was supportive, and I appreciate her for that, for her reaction, because being a single parent, just wanting the best for her child, and just, you know, bringing me here and sacrificing as much as she did for her to be accepting of that, I am very grateful, because I know there's some people who don't have that same reaction.
Just think it's funny how like Sergio and I had opposite, like we're in similar careers. We both want to be scientists, but we've had opposite reactions. Like, for example, with my family, when I told them that I wanted to be a scientist, that I wanted to be an astrophysicist, they were like, what the fuck is that? Like, why would you? They couldn't wrap their heads around like why I would want to go to school. My family, my parents came from El Salvador, and they didn't have the educational opportunities that I had here. You know, like they had to drop out of school in middle school and even before middle school for one of them, because they had to help my grandmother, well, their respective grandmothers, find food because they had big families, and it's very difficult, and it's very different than in the United States and a third world country, especially in El Salvador. And even today, that's very like how much, that's pretty much how they think about things now. Like it's just, okay, well, I have a job and that's all I really care about. Like I don't need to have a career. This is what I need to do to survive. And I've been blessed with the opportunity to actually sit down and think about what I want to do with my life, because I was born here and I've been in school. I graduated middle school, high school, community college, and I'm at a university now where like I'm studying what I love, and they can't wrap their heads around the fact that this is what I want to do. Like I tell them I'm going to get my bachelor's and I have plans to get my master's and my PhD. I want to do all of it. I want to go through academia and, you know, do this, and the third with my titles. And they're like, but why would you stay in school for so long? Like, why would you do that to yourself if you get your first degree? Like, why does any other degree matter? Just get a job and make money. And it's just, you know, it's a very difficult process to explain to them that like I don't want to just have a job, like I want to have a career that I love, because they don't understand that.
That's very interesting because I think like what I thought that for immigrant parents, like the more degrees, the better. So it's very interesting that your parents are like, why can't you stop at bachelor's and like just get a job?
Yeah, it's really weird because a lot of my friends are like have similar experiences to you and Sergio, but like my parents did like they didn't even know that they didn't even know that there was more than just a bachelor's. They were like, oh, college gives you a college degree. And I had to explain to them like that's a bachelor's and there's more than just a bachelor's. So it's just a very different point of view for them, I guess.
Yeah, I get that because in different countries, like I guess like PhD is not a thing, or like there's different like education system in each country. So like maybe where you are from, or like maybe according to what your parents know, like they don't know what you're talking about really. So it could be hard to have a conversation with them about that.
No, I want to say, like, I think I really love, like, the conversation because it just breaks, like, those, stereotypes that do surround, like, the migrant community and stuff like that, and just kind of puts that out there that, like, everyone is so different. Like, these stereotypes, like, really aren't it, basically. Um, I guess you could say, like, honestly, like, in my experience, like, my parents didn't really care, like, if they're pretty understanding to the fact that like you do whatever you want, like what makes you happy at the end of the day like makes me happy. So like they never really forced anything like on us. Like it was more like putting that like pressure on ourselves to go to college and stuff like that. Like again, like it's a societal norm to go to college right after high school and stuff like that. So I would say like my parents were really supportive, thankfully.
Yeah, I was going to mention that as well, that even if the parents don't put pressure on you, or like they don't say, oh, you have to do this, or like you have to do that, we put pressure on ourselves, like Edzo said. Like we feel kind of, or at least me, I feel kind of like guilty if I'm not doing enough, because like our parents sacrificed so much for us, and like they came to a different country, and like they did a lot, so we feel like we have to meet their expectations, or like we have to go like above and beyond, and like to make them feel like it was worth it to come to this country.
Exactly, like it's our obligation too,
Yeah.
basically. We put it on ourselves.
Yeah, so like, yeah, we talked a lot about education. What do you guys think about also something that came on my mind right now is like dating as well, like dating outside your culture, or like some cultures are even like they're against dating at all, like they don't want you to date. So do you guys have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I know a lot of families, a lot of immigrant families have problems with I mean, okay, I'm just gonna give you the example in my family. I've had problems with my family when I've wanted to date outside of my race, when I wanted to date outside of my own skin color, which was crazy to me because it's 2021, bro. Get over that shit. When
Oh,
I wanted to date outside of my religion, and when I've wanted to date women. Like that was, I think, one of the most difficult things for my parents to process, like when they found out I had a girlfriend, because it was just like to them, they were like, how could you do this to me? And I'm like, how could I do what to you? Like, you don't want me to not be myself? That's crazy. Anyways, yeah.
I don't really get this point, like that they want you to date from your culture. Is it like maybe it's like a generation thing that like I don't know. I can't really understand why they would want this and like they would feel very like offended if you go against that.
I think honestly, in my opinion, it's like some weird warped sense of patriotism. Like my family really wanted me to date another Salvadorian, which to me is like, okay, but do you know how many like Latino people are out there and you want me to really just stick to the smallest country in Central America? Like you want me to stick to our country
Funny
for
way of
what?
thinking about it. I said that's such a funny way of thinking about it. Like I've never it sucks because like I did fall into that. Like I didn't get pressure from my family again. I put that on myself and I did end up sticking within my own race, which I was so adamant about not doing, but I ended up doing it anyway. And like literally here we are 7 years later on my anniversary recording the podcast.
Turns into like a subconscious thing. It really turns into like you don't even realize. Like that was my first relationship ever, was with a Salvadorian man that my family loved. And it was like I didn't even realize that I was looking for someone that they would approve of before I would approve of, you know? And that's obviously not the case for you. Happy anniversary, by the way. But
Thank you. I don't have much to speak on the topic.
So I think that this question is interesting because I I've come to the realization that this question is something that as a man, not something that I guess hits us hard, and I've come to like just think about this a lot because nobody has ever said, "Oh, you can't date this like this person from here or from there." I think just being being a man doesn't come with thinking about this question.
Yeah, it's definitely more pressure put on women. I think that's what you're trying to say. That like because I definitely feel that pressure like Diana. Um like we definitely get pressured a lot about that more than men.
Not to mention, sorry, like for jumping in, but like not to mention like getting like juntándote, like how do you say this? Not necessarily getting married, but settling down at like a young age for a woman is like is super expected, super common. Having kids at a young age, like both my mom and my sister did that. I believe at the same age at 19, and here I am at 23, and I don't have kids yet, and like I'm getting questioned, and I of course I have like a long time boyfriend, so there's like even weirder for them. Like, oh, why aren't you settling down? Why aren't you doing this and that? I'm like, girl, I want to live my life. And even that is like kind of not fulfilling the expectations that they had of like grandchildren and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I
Exactly.
like go ahead, Serge.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, yeah, that's what I was trying to say. That I don't think it's fair, like that men don't get these this pressure or this expectations. Because at the end of the day, like everybody should just be who they want to be, and they're happy. And yeah, so I just wanted to acknowledge.
Oh yeah, thank you for like being honest about it and putting it out there because like you're the only man in this like in this episode right now and like saying it with honesty that like you don't feel that pressure as a man is like something that we really appreciate that you put it out there.
Yeah, I was just gonna join in on what Itzel said because, like, honestly, my mom, my mom is constantly coming up to me like, "¿Y cuándo me vas a dar nietos?" And that means like, when are you gonna give me grandchildren?
Oh
And
my
I'm
God,
like,
me too.
and I'm like, Mom, you know I'm literally dating a woman. How do you even expect me to do that? And I'm 21, bro. It's like, first and foremost, I'm still in school. You gassing it right now. She's doing the most. And it's because like, huh?
Oh, I just said for real, it's like everything is at the right time. You can't just like give them a baby because they want to.
I know. And my mom is like, oh my God, like when I was 23, I was pregnant with you. And I'm like, okay, that's your problem. What the fuck? That I did not ask to be born, ma'am. I was just there one day, okay? And that's
Yeah,
not
for
the life
real.
I want to live.
It's like if you give me a kid, I'm gonna be like so happy to have a grandchild. Then I'm like, how about my happiness? I'm not going to be happy if I have a kid right now.
Exactly. Like, are they gonna watch it? I
Exactly.
don't think so.
And it's so taboo. I think like literally not just in Latino culture. I think like in every culture, it's so taboo to somehow it's taboo to just be like a woman that makes her own decisions. Like, how does that even make any fucking sense, bro? It's
Oh, don't
taboo for
even
me
get
to
me started.
exactly. It's taboo for us to like Sharuk mentioned earlier. It's taboo for us to want to wear our hair short, but if we wear it too long, it's like we're being boring or something. But if we do, like, if we wear it in a ponytail, we're appealing to men. If we wear like short clothes, we're appealing to men. If we wear like clothes that are too long, we're being too modest and not showing enough. And it's just like, yo, when are you just gonna let me live my fucking life? If I want to wear a
Exactly.
bata to school every day, I'm gonna do it. If I want to stay in school and not have a family, I'm gonna do it. What is the problem with me wanting to have my own life?
Yeah, it's like what Sergio mentioned, that it's mostly on women. Like, hope that one day we can like get over this and just let women live their lives.
Yeah, I'm just gonna jump in and say I don't even think it's about getting over it. I think it's about like healing that everybody needs to do, honestly. All of our parents need to have some sort of healing because people want to put these societal things on us because these societal pressures were put on them. If there was a man who liked to dress as a woman and people were coming at him crazy, even though he did identify as a man, they're coming at him crazy because there had to have been at some point in their life, like they had to have a moment where they were looked down upon or punished or yelled at, or like someone reacted negatively towards them for doing something like that, and now they're doing the same thing to other people because they don't know any better. They think that that's the way the world works, and it doesn't work like that. Like, I'm sorry you were hurt, but you need to heal that before you start pushing your bullshit on other people.
Yeah,
Exactly. That's a good way to think about it. Sorry. It's just like breaking like the generational trauma, which you can't expect to like be completely there when you have children, because I mean accidents happen. But like being ready in that sense, like you're not gonna push those things like they were on us basically.
yeah, and it's like different times too. Like you can't compare your parents' times and like how like their parents were treating them to us, because like it's a different generation and it's a different time, and we have to just cope with like timing, not just like stand in the same place.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in and just say that, like, I think, just like it's putting my mom out there. She for me like was such a great role model, and she helped me see that women and men we're equal, and just the fact that she would make me like just clean the bathrooms like and cook, it really taught me that why is it that like a woman has to serve me like food? Why, like there's no reason like why I should expect that, or there's no reason why I should expect not to clean at home, or to like basically be served like a king, because my mom, she didn't let that happen, and so that's why I just wanted to put this like take this podcast to really talk about how just, for me, I don't think, I don't agree with any of that. And just, this could also, yeah, I mean, we can talk more about just, other topics as well in the upcoming podcast, such as like machismo and everything. But definitely, yeah, like something worth talking about.
Yeah, that's amazing that your mom like was teaching you that you don't like women are not to serve men, that you can like you both can do the same thing and just like, like help yourself and not expect like your wife or your girlfriend to do things for you. I think it's a great thing to teach our kids.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I want to elaborate, but at the same time, I want to save this conversation for like our machismo episode. But I already got my points down. I'm super hyped about it, and I can't wait to hear like more from Sergio about the topic. And we definitely appreciate your perspective on this because it's definitely needed, and you can't just have like our side. It has to be something, counter to that.
Yeah, we will definitely talk about this more in depth. We talked about all of those expectations. Do you think we can change those expectations since we have like a different way of thinking? I know we probably want to do things differently when we have kids, but what can we do now to change our parents' perspectives? I think a good way like to challenge those expectations or like to change them is to say like when Sergio said he told his mom that I don't want to be a medical doctor, this is what I want. So I think like being affirmative in what you want, that's how you tell them like no, like this is my life, this is what I want to do. And they will just have to like find a way to accept that or like respect your decisions.
Yeah, I think for me, I would say that in order to change these things, you really want to have these conversations more and be really sure about what you believe in and what you think is right and wrong. Because if if we continue to have these types of mindsets that for example, you can't do what you love, you have to do this because that's what like I'm expecting you to. Um, it's something that I think, as Diana said before, just we have the power to stop this. And for example, just being in this podcast and talking about it, and making others uh, know that there's other people out there who also don't agree with these things, and I think is a good step towards changing minds.
Yeah, to answer your question, I'm gonna keep it real simple. You can call me stubborn if you want, but I'm not gonna do a fucking thing except educate my parents when I get the chance and keep living my life because that's all I can really do, honestly.
Yeah, like at the end of the day, like it's our lives, like we have to be happy and we have to do what we love because you're gonna be left with what you have, like what the career choices that you made, like the person you married or like the person who you didn't marry, um, like your decision to have kids or not, like these are the things that are gonna affect us in the future. But doing things that our parents want doesn't really benefit us in any way, um I know, like I'm not saying that they don't want the best for us. I think they're trying to like create the best lives for us, but they're not always right in what we should do. Yeah, so that brings up the next question, like how does that affect our mental health when like we put that pressure on ourselves or like when our parents put that pressure on us?
Yeah, I think it's really easy for myself to speak on this because a lot of things that they disagreed with what I was doing and a lot of things, not really just about my relationship, but a lot of things. So I would really get depressed because I would really question my own decisions. And even if I knew in myself that like it was right, I would still question it because if like I'm thinking, well, if my parents don't approve of it and don't agree with it, then it must not be the right choice, you know? Like it makes you double guess like what you're doing and it doesn't feel right. It doesn't sit well with you. And it's like for myself anyway, like I'll be in a situation, but like I won't be present because I'm constantly thinking like, am I doing the right thing? Like, should I be here? And it's just, it really messes with you, honestly.
Yeah, I think for mental health wise, all these expectations are not something that are helping at all because you know um, people could get affected to the point that they don't even want to live anymore because they feel depressed and discouraged. So I think definitely acknowledging the impact is important, and for sure, just like keep having these conversations.
Yeah, to add on top of that, I think it's really important to have these conversations because, parental expectations can affect your mental health and your self-image and your career goals, your love life. Literally, it can affect every single way you carry yourself, even if you're not aware of how it's affecting you. So, just keep these conversations going, just like we are in this podcast. Keep talking about it with your therapist, with your friends, with anyone who's willing to listen. And trust me, there are people willing to listen.
Yeah, for sure, like conversation is important, but something that I also want to mention is that like it's hard to have those conversations with parents. It like it requires a lot of like energy and like it can be really hard to have those conversations with parents. It's not like having a conversation with a friend, it's more um like you get more nervous, and it just, I think we just gotta like keep trying and like make a change even by talking about those things on the podcast. So if you guys don't have anything else to add, I think that's the end of our episode. Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you for having us, Sharu.
Yes, thank you.
It was a lovely conversation, and I really hope if these conversations are hard for like who's ever listening to bring it up to their parents, show them the podcast and they can see for themselves like from other people and not maybe just you if you're too scared to bring up your own feelings. Maybe they could see some kind of perspective.
That's it for today, Migrants with Migraines. Today we learned that parental expectations put a lot of pressure on immigrant children. And even though some parents don't mention directly what they expect us to do, we always have this guilt that we have to try harder and be the best that we can to repay our immigrant parents for their sacrifices. We also learned that all of these thoughts are very overwhelming for our well-being and mental health. Thank you for listening to us today.